Hello, guys, and welcome back. It's so good to have you here. And I just want to say thank you again for being here and for tuning in every single week and for showing up for yourself and for showing up for your jewelry business and for your dream. This podcast would not be where it is without each and every one of you tuning in every single week, sharing this with other jewelry business owners, and just actually taking action from what you're learning on the podcast as well. So, today we're talking about something a little bit different. And so, I want to give you a very powerful episode that's going to light a fire within you, or at least I hope so. And I want to talk about something that will make you say, hell yes, I am ready to take this business of mine seriously. And I really hope that this is able to help you shift how you're showing up for yourself and for your jewelry business. Because the truth is, after being in the industry for many, many years and working with so many designers, some jewelry business owners scale to six figures, multiple six figures, beyond, and others just spin in circles for years and years and years. And I've noticed a pattern in what differentiates these different business owners. It's really not about luck. It's not even about talent. It's about who you are being behind the scenes of your business. So today I want us to break down the 5 key traits that I see in business owners who actually make it. And it might sting a little for some of you. But if you're here for real growth, let's feel that discomfort, let's lean in, because awareness is power. Awareness is the first step. And so if anything is coming up for you that feels triggering, or it feels like it does sting a little bit, that's something to listen to. That's really valuable because it's bringing awareness to something that maybe you need to work on or you're ready to work on. And it could be the turning point that you've been waiting for in your jewelry business. So let's kick it off with the very first trait that I see consistently with clients and jewelry business owners who do really well and scale their businesses really effectively. And the first trait is that they don't let fear make their decisions. And this is really, really big. They do not let fear make their decisions. So, you may be allowing fear to make your decisions if you resonate with any of these things. So maybe you delay launching collections because, oh my gosh, it's not ready yet. I want it to be perfect before I do. I'm waiting for X, Y, and Z. Maybe you're holding back on reaching to stores to sell for wholesale or consignment because, again, there's so much fear there. There's so much anxiety. And we're like, okay, well, what are all the things we can do to make sure that I don't get rejected before I do that? Same thing with maybe you don't want to be the face of your brand. Maybe you have so much fear around taking up space and telling your story or, showing up on camera, whatever that is. You have that fear and it's stopping you from taking these actions that you need to do for your business. And you keep telling yourself, I'm waiting to feel ready. And that is a big mistake because what I've seen in successful business owners, what I've seen on my own journey as well, is if you wait till you're feeling ready, you could be waiting forever. When you're doing something new, when you're doing something out of your comfort zone, when you're doing something you've never done before, when you're doing something that is vulnerable, you are putting yourself in a potential position where you could fail, where you could do something cringy, where people could judge or criticize you. So it's normal to have those feelings of fear, and waiting to feel ready doesn't make the fear disappear. It actually makes the fear bigger. It makes it heavier. It makes it so much harder. And I have a really good example actually that's coming to mind. I was talking to a friend. This is a very new friend. She's a really incredible entrepreneur. And I met her last week through other entrepreneurial friends. We do these founders dinners. They're super fun. And she was talking about the marketing side of her business, and she was struggling with connections and stuff. And so we're talking about different strategies that she could go and implement. And I told her last week, Friday, literally 1 week ago, here's what I suggest. Go do XYZ. And one of those things was to launch a podcast and bring these guests on and talk about these topics. I saw her 4 days later and she had already recorded her first episode, published it, got guests lined up. She was just taking action, and she's like, oh, I feel so uncomfortable doing this, but this is how you build businesses. You just like do it all before you're ready. You do it all while you feel the fear. And it's fascinating because I've also told the exact same thing to some other business owners who have waited over a year to take action on that because they feel uncomfortable. They feel fearful. They're like, okay, but I want to do it perfect. So I'm going to wait till like all the stars are aligned and I know exactly what I'm doing. And I see this play out with jewelry business owners all the time where it's like, oh, I don't want to pitch to the stores because what if I get rejected and I mess up my first chance? And what if this happens? And like, what if I'm too much on social media? And the truth is, you're never going to feel ready. So I want you to reframe this, because the intention behind it of wanting to feel ready, I totally get it. It's very valid. And we can reframe this and just remind ourselves that courage comes before confidence. Courage comes before confidence. So confidence is built by doing that scary thing, with whether it's reaching out to stores to sell your jewelry at consignment or wholesale, or whether it's starting to show up and embrace being the face of your brand. Confidence is built by doing the scary things multiple times and starting to stack evidence that, number one, you are who you say you are, you're doing what you said you would do, and you're doing these scary actions and the sun still rises the next day. You're still breathing, you're still alive, you're still okay, and your business is also okay. So confidence is built by doing the scary thing and then realizing you survived and stacking that evidence over time. And so if fear is kind of in the driver's seat for you and your business right now, the reality is your business is going to stall. And people who win in business, people who succeed in business, they feel the fear and they take action anyway. They don't take a back seat and wait for the fear to subside or for comfort to settle in before they take action. Because the reality is, the longer you sit in indecision, inaction, waiting, perfecting, the bigger this fear gets, the bigger the discomfort gets. And it makes it so much harder to take action. And during that time, you're lowering your confidence, you're slowing down your business. So that is something that's, I just wish more people realized how impactful this is. I've had so many clients where I've seen this in action. I have one of my dear clients was terrified to show up on video. She wouldn't even show up on Zoom calls. Didn't want to show up on video, didn't want to show up with her using her voice. I've had clients who didn't even want to be in their wedding pictures. They're that uncomfortable and that scared of embracing being the face of their brand. And they come into the program and they're like, oh, I'm going to do everything but XYZ. And I'm like, cool. But we've laid it out where as soon as they're coming in, they're part of a community all doing the scary thing. And when you do it all together, it's like, oh, it's not that bad. It's not as bad as I thought. And we take small tolerable steps. And so she ended up, this client, and actually the one who didn't want her wedding photos either, they both ended up going through our 10-day challenge when they come into the group, and then started building that confidence through taking action, not through sitting in the back seat, but through taking action and feeling the fear and taking action anyway, and slowly over time embraced being the face of that brand. And it has had a huge impact on driving brand awareness. It's had a huge impact on sales. It's had a huge impact on their confidence in showing up for their business and in building relationships even outside of their business, and how they show up in relationships and in their family as well. So that is what happens when courage leads. And I want you to ask yourself, where is fear quietly driving my decisions? Is it in my pricing? Am I scared to increase my prices? Do I feel like people will stop buying if I increase my prices? Am I just waiting for some magic wand to be struck so that my prices are suddenly okay at the current price and I don't have to increase them? You know, is it your visibility? Is your fear of being visible driving your decisions? Is your willingness to pitch your offer like surrounded by so much fear that you're actually not pitching your jewelry to stores? You're not reaching out, you're not doing the vulnerable work. The first step here is just getting awareness. Awareness is so key, because quite honestly, most people aren't even conscious of how often they're outsourcing decisions to fear. So if the only thing you get from today is just that awareness of maybe I'm letting fear take the driver's seat in my life and in my business, that's a win. If we can just get the awareness part, that is a win, because once we're aware, we're able to then start being more conscious of like, okay, I made this decision, and was that a decision out of fear or out of confidence? And if it was out of fear, it's like, okay, well, why don't we go back and relook at that, and let's let it be scary, let's let it be uncomfortable, and let's take that decision anyway, and start building confidence and start leaning into fear, because that is what successful jewelry business owners do very, very well. So the second thing that jewelry business owners who are scaling, who are building really successful businesses, and honestly, this goes across for not just jewelry business owners, but other entrepreneurs as well. But the second trait that they all have in common is that they finish what they start. And, you know, if you're listening to this and you're like, oh, how do I know, like, if this is me? You might not really be finishing what you're starting if you are strategy hopping. If you start strategies but never finish them, you're doing these like freebies and boot camps and webinars and YouTube videos and little Instagram posts, and you're seeing stuff that people are suggesting and you're testing them out 3 or 4 times, or starting to do them and starting to implement but then bailing on them. You know, start creating this cohesive collection, and then you go in a different direction before you've even like got that validated. You have half written emails, you've got a half built website, you have a half done wholesale catalog, and then you bailed on that. You have half launched ideas. Very, very common. And what we need to do again is just reframe this and remind ourselves that my results are tied to my ability to follow through. It's as simple as that. And consistency is so much more important than constant reinvention. I just can't even tell you how important that is. Consistency is more important than constant reinvention. If you are looking constantly at what other jewelry business owners are doing, being like, oh, okay, they're posting in this way, maybe I'll do that. And now they're launching this type of thing, maybe I'll do that. And now I see this, and now I see that. You're never going to get very far. The reason successful business owners are successful is not because they're hopping between things. It's not because they're bailing every time they start something. It's because they get clear on those key things that are going to move the needle in their jewelry business, and they are consistent with it. They stay the course. Most people don't get results because they don't stay the course long enough with the strategies that they're implementing. It's the reality. And most people do not need new strategies. They just need to actually finish the ones they started and do it effectively and do it consistently over time, and stop bailing 3 months after getting started, or 3 weeks after posting reels every day and being like, oh my gosh, I feel like I should have got XYZ because I posted every day for 3 weeks. It's not how it works. So the really successful jewelry business owners are consistent. They finish what they start. They commit to showing up no matter what, and they detach from results, because if you're super attached to your results at every step of the way, it's pretty difficult to be consistent. Because let's say, for example, every time you post to Instagram, 3 hours after you posted, you're checking your views, you're checking comments, you're checking saves, and you're questioning like, why is this not getting more traction? What did I do wrong here? What's going on? And then the next day you're posting and you're doing the same. You are so attached to the outcome there that you're going to bail on consistently posting pretty soon. You're going to get resentful. You're going to feel like it's not working for you because, you know, whatever it is. and you're going to stop. And I did this exercise actually with my clients in our group call yesterday. I have a whole podcast episode on this. It is inverse thinking. So if I was to ask you, tell me 5 ways you could guarantee that you run your jewelry business into the ground, what would those 5 things be? And so you can think about that right now. Like, if I wanted to run my jewelry business into the ground, what would I do? Well, one thing off the top of my head, what we could do based on what we're talking about is we could not post consistently on Instagram. We could not email our email list consistently. We could not consistently do the revenue driving activities. We could bail on things a couple of weeks in. That's a guaranteed way for us to run our jewelry business into the ground. So remember that you don't necessarily need new strategies. You need to actually finish what you started if you have the right strategies in place. And that's exactly what I help my clients do in the JBA. You know, we have the structure, the support. We know what strategies work. We have seen it with the clients who come through, take action, be consistent, put in the work. We know these strategies work, and we have the accountability and the blueprints and the checklist to make sure that you actually show up consistently for yourself and for your business so that you can finally get that traction. Because business is really less about being innovative and more about being consistent and boring, if I'm honest with you. A boring business is a successful business. So if you're always starting over, you're always in that hardest part of the process. The starting a new strategy, the implementing something new is super hard. When it starts getting boring, that's when the momentum starts coming. The momentum comes from stacking wins by doing the boring, repeatable tasks over time. And it requires commitment to those boring things like the systems, the schedules, the structure, like showing up consistently and detaching from your results. So business is not about always being innovative. It's more just about being consistent and doing the boring work. That's what I've done to get to where I am. It's just the boring work. If you guys saw behind the scenes of how boring it is, I think it would reframe how you show up in your business as well. Because everyone I know who's a successful entrepreneur did their time of boring work. I mean, there's also so much fun stuff in business, but the things that drive the needle are repetitive. They're boring, and you need to do them consistently. And I kind of love that about business. Like, quite honestly, I think that's one of my favorite things, is that it's reliable if you're willing to do the boring work consistently. Now, the third trait of really successful jewelry business owners is that they know their numbers. So numbers are a big one. Numbers are so important. So if you're always guessing at your pricing and you're just pulling random numbers out to price your jewelry, you're not clear on your profit margins or your actual income or your actual expenses, if you're just spending money all the time on new inventory and packaging and events, and you actually don't have clarity over what's coming in, what's going out, how much taxes you're going to owe at the end of the year. Like, if you have zero clarity and numbers feel scary, so you just don't look at them, or you're just winging it. This is one thing in business you do not want to be winging, because you cannot grow what you're afraid to look at. Numbers really aren't scary. They give you so much clarity. They give you so much control. Now, I can tell you what I used to do, which really helped me, and this is a funny example, but when I was in high school, I did like higher level chemistry, higher level biology, like all the sciences. I was very into science and economics and all that stuff. Now, what I found was chemistry can be very scary, can be very overwhelming. It's like a completely different language. And so I started writing all my notes in pink. And that changed everything for me, because how can something be scary and how can something be overwhelming when it's in pink? Not possible. And so we've actually translated that into the JBA, and our pricing spreadsheets, they're pretty, they're peachy colored, they vibe, like a whole vibe. And let me tell you, when you stop being scared of numbers and you start enjoying tracking and you start enjoying checking it weekly and checking your sales and checking your expenses, you get such a deep sense of peace, and it gives you clarity, and it gives you control, and it's game changing. I love doing my banking. I love looking at the numbers, and it's just about knowing that you have the systems in place, knowing that you have that scheduled in your calendar. It's not something that you're like, oh my God, I forgot to look at my numbers this month. Maybe I need to like squeeze that in. No, we need systems in place. That needs to be a part of your weekly task that you're doing in your business. Numbers are crucial. And knowing your numbers lets you make empowered decisions. It helps you understand which products are profitable. It helps you understand how much you can afford to reinvest in your business. It helps you understand when you're ready to scale and hire team members. And so if you're avoiding numbers, you are basically flying like a bird, like blind. And your business deserves better. You deserve better. So let's look at like what's that one step you can take today to stop being so avoidant and scared essentially of the numbers in your business, and let's start diving into the numbers and get that clarity and get to know your numbers and stay on top of those numbers. Now, the fourth trait, this is a really big one. The fourth trait that I see with a lot of jewelry business owners that are really successful is that they don't wait to feel worthy. So if you've ever thought to yourself, who am I to charge that amount for my jewelry? Who am I to model my jewelry? Who am I to take up space online? Who am I to hire a team? Those are all potentially symptoms that you don't feel worthy of that right now. And I actually spoke to one of my dear clients the other day because I'm like, hey, I'll just give her a fake name for this. Hey, Sarah, it's time for you to build your team. Like we need to get you more employees. Your business is ready for it. You are ready for it. What's happening here? And she was like, I don't feel like worthy of having a team. I don't feel worthy of like managing a team. Like I feel like I need to be doing all the work. And the reality is that worthiness isn't something that you earn. It's something you just decide. And you don't, the successful business owners I know, they don't wait to feel worthy. They just start doing those things. Again, it's like feeling the fear and taking action anyway. It's charging increasing your prices and getting used to those new prices, writing them out and putting them on your fridge if you need to get used to those new numbers, telling yourself a new story about instead of who am I to model my jewelry or who am I to take up space or who am I to build a team, think about your future self who's successful, who moves. What would they need to hear? How would they show up for their day? And how worthy would they feel of charging that amount? How worthy would they feel of modeling your jewelry? How worthy would they feel of taking up space online? And then let's start doing that. Let's start acting like we're worthy now, because it's not something you earn. You are worthy already. Like everyone listening to this is worthy of making these changes. And it's not something that we can earn. It's just something we have to decide. It's just something you can literally decide today. And I had this experience when I was a new designer. I was very, very nervous and very shy and I'd never done a photo shoot. And I booked this photographer when I was launching my first website. And it was like going to cost me thousands of dollars to model this jewelry, whole other story, because that was not a good use of my money. But the day before the shoot, now I was very shy. I was dealing with so much imposter syndrome of like even launching a business. And then I was like, okay, I need to be the face of my brand. I'm going to book this shoot. I'm going to do this XYZ. And the day before she calls me up and she's like, hey, Robin, I think it would be better if my friend comes and models the jewelry because she's just like a much better model than you'll be. And like the photos will turn out way better. And this is someone I was paying thousands of dollars to. And it was kind of like a little test from the universe, I think, to be like, oh, now I have to like go back and say with conviction, like, oh, well, thank you. But like, it's really important for me to do this. Like, This is important for my personal growth. This is important for me getting used to feeling seen. This is important for me learning to take up space. This is important for me as I scale my business. Imagine having random photos of someone else on my business page and I'm trying to sell it as my designs and my pieces. And that's just a little example of like recognizing like that worthiness. We don't have to earn it. We just have to start acting like it. And just a reminder that imposter syndrome doesn't go away by shrinking. So if I had, instead of like just saying no thanks but no, I'm gonna model it, if I had instead said, oh yeah, that would be great, thanks, your friend can do the photos, like she can model the stuff and I'll just come and watch and then use those photos for my business, that would have increased my imposter syndrome. Because it doesn't go away by shrinking. It goes away by acting like the version of you who is already worthy. It goes away by actually just like showing up in your business and in your life as the person who is already worthy of that. So visibility, confidence, those are all muscles that you can totally build. Nobody's born ready, but you can decide right here and now that you are allowed to take up space and watch how your business is going to shift. Now, the fifth trait that I see with jewelry business owners who are very successful and scale their businesses successfully is that they don't try and do it all alone. So if you are constantly drowning in DIY, if you are consuming a ton of free content and not implementing, if you have basically created a full-time job, not a business that gives you time, energy, and money, those could be symptoms that maybe you're trying to do it all alone. And I totally understand that because I, at one stage, was the same. I didn't feel worthy of hiring team members. I didn't trust team members. I felt like only I could do what I needed to do. And I felt like I also had to put in a lot of work to be worthy of hiring someone to help me. And so I want you to try this reframe, because isolation in business and in life breeds doubt. Isolation breeds doubt. You know, when you're dealing with challenges and you feel alone and you feel anxious, it just breeds doubt in what you're doing. It breeds doubt in like how you're moving forward, and it slows you down. Community builds momentum. So that can be, you know, hiring team members. It can be outsourcing certain tasks in your business. It can be hiring a coach and getting part of a community like the JBA, whatever that looks like for you. But community builds momentum. And I just want you to know that support isn't a luxury in business. It's a strategy. There's nothing luxurious about getting support in business. It's literally just a strategy. If you were going to go and become a real estate agent, you would be going to conferences every year. You would be part of networking communities. You would probably go through a training program. You would go through a course. If you're going to become a dentist, you do the same. You go through years of college as well, and training, and have a huge support system. Any other job, you get training, you get support, you get sent to conferences. But somehow when we're building a jewelry business, we feel like, oh, I should be able to do it all alone. And so for anyone who's resonating with that, just know that support is not a luxury. It is a strategy for growth. And most business owners never hit the goals that they set. But the ones that, you know, work with coaches, the ones that actually get the right strategies, they are nearly 3 times more likely to get to those goals. And that is no coincidence. That is just support, that is strategy, that is accountability in action. And I've seen that firsthand with clients that I work with. I've seen that firsthand in my own business as well. And I've gone through stages where I tried to carry everything alone, and it very nearly broke me. I have another episode talking about this. And getting support changed everything. So you're not weak for needing help, and you are very wise, in fact, for getting it. So for anyone listening to this who's still trying to ask yourself this question: do I really have a strategy problem, or do I have a support problem? Because the longer that you try and DIY everything in business, the longer you delay your growth. And I've seen that in my business as well. So a great coach is going to help you collapse timelines And you don't just need motivation, you need somebody who sees the patterns, who calls you out, who guides you forward so that you can move faster and with support. So as we wrap this one up, I want to say that if you saw yourself in any of these patterns today, that is a good sign. That means that you now have that awareness, and awareness is the first step to change. So that version of you that's hitting consistent $10,000 months, the version of you is hitting consistent $40,000, $60,000, $80,000 months, she is not more talented than you. She's not more confident than you. She's just more committed to showing up as the jewelry business owner she wants to become. So the real question I have for you is, are you ready to become her? And if you are, I would love to invite you to come and join us inside the JBA. Inside the Jewelry Business Academy, we are going to help you build real momentum with the strategy, with the support you need to finally scale your business without burning out. So if that's exciting, you can send us a message on Instagram, DM us JBA. Let us know you listened to this episode, and let me know if you're all in and ready to become that version of you that is scaling your business successfully. And let's make it happen. Let's get you and your business into a completely different space in the next 90 days, in the next 6 months, in the next year. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, let me know. Let me know what hit home for you. Let me know what resonated. Let me know what aha moments you had coming up as you listen to this. I would love to hear from you. You can screenshot the episode and tag me or send me a DM on Instagram. Your feedback is super valuable because it helps us understand what content you're getting value from and what's helping you move forward in your business so that we can create more of that. And I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day, and I can't wait to share our next episode with you. I think you are going to love it.